welcome to another episode of Discount Pokemon Decks. Today's deck is Swampert Silvally, and I don't know, you could say this is a discount deck, maybe a discount GX deck, but this is, what it really is kind of a discount Zoroark deck. So, I kind of noticed that you see a lot of like quad Zoroark out there, 3 or 4 Zoroark in a deck, and a lot of discarding, a lot of drawing cards or whatever, and it's a powerful tool. So I was trying to figure out how we could do that on a cheaper way if you can't afford the Zoroarks, and Swampert came up. So Swampert here has a power draw ability. Once during your turn, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards, which is actually a little bit more powerful than Zoroark. Zoroark is discard 1, draw 2. This is draw 3. The problem is Swampert's a stage 2, so it takes a little bit longer to develop. But if you're, a discount kind of guy and you don't have the ability to get Zoroark, Swampert's easily a good replacement. And they're not that hard to get. I think you can get 2 locked in a deck, and then you could just get 1 more. They're actually pretty cheap. I think I got a 4/4 line for 1 pack or something like that. They're ridiculous. They were just... One day I just saw they were ridiculously cheap, and I took them, and I decided to play around with them a little bit, and this is what I came up with. So the focal point of this deck, I guess, is the ability to... I don't know, it's kind of 2 things. It's the ability to draw cards, and then this ability to draw cards that discards a card. Well, how do we take advantage of that? So my idea was Silvally, to use this turbo drive attack to attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So the idea is really to get Silvally up first, discard a bunch of water energy, and then get Swampert up. And you can use Swampert to discard that water energy, and then Silvally to put that energy back on the Swampert, which then in turn, this Hydro Pump becomes a more potent attack. It does 80 damage plus 20 for each water, so you can get a fair amount of damage out of this. It's not infinite in that respect. You're not gonna OHKO your 200 hit point guys, but unless maybe you get a lot of energy on the Swampert. You could try to enhance this deck with this is more, usually I show like a finished deck. This is more just an idea. There's some extra cards here, Acro Bike or whatever you can take out, maybe even PokéNav, although I want to talk about this card in a little bit. But, you can take out, depending on what the meta is, you can take out these. I figure, fighting, turning Silvally into a fighting Pokemon or a psychic Pokemon, considering the meta right now is good. The meta changes and there's a lot more grass. Well, you throw the fire one in, you can throw the lightning one in or whatever. But this is kind of an idea of what you can do with this deck. If you wanted more of a kind of control deck, you could put something like Acerola in, so if Silvally gets damaged, you put Silvally back in your hand, or however you want to do it. For me, I'm okay with a deck like this. It's actually pretty strong, stronger than I expected. I do like Silvally, I'll admit that, and I think this kind of combination, I think Swampert, this draw is really strong. It's hard to get up, obviously. It's a stage 2, but once you do, it's a great card. And hopefully in the upcoming game we will see how that works. Nothing really spectacular about this deck otherwise. I did want to talk about this card, PokéNav. I feel like this is an underused card. I see a lot of people using that card. I forgot the name. You flip a coin. If you get a heads, you can get an item card in your hand. That's nice, but this will give you either an energy or a Pokemon, and then you take the next 2 cards or whatever it is. If you don't take a card, even if you miss, you put the cards back in order on the top of your deck, which is great because you can see what you're getting with Swampert, or even if you're using Zoroark, if you need a certain card in your hand, you play this card, you see what the top 3 are, you can put the top 2. There's no coin flip or anything like that. Obviously, if you're looking for an energy or a Pokemon, you might be a little disappointed, but it works well in the beginning of the game too, because you may need an energy or a Pokemon, and sometimes this will get a few, and if not, you can rearrange the cards. You know what you're getting on your next draw. I've used it in a couple of decks. It's pretty good. I think it's an underused card. So, you could swap this out, the Acro Bikes, for that. But the Acro Bikes are here to get the energy in the discard. Probably don't need it, but and I probably could, let's say, instead of Copycat, go with like TV Reporter and PokéNav, and that'll give you a good 1-2 combo with Swampert. You'll be getting a lot of cards in your hand. Other than that, this deck's pretty straightforward. Fight, fight, fight. I wish there was better synergy if with this Hero unit. But, you know, there's not going to be a lot of Pokemon in the deck. Although it does work in the beginning of the game. You can put your Mudkip as the active and your Type Null as the bench, and then use that maybe to wall off for a little bit till you get Silvally, and then use the Euro unit to swap the two. I've done that a couple times with this deck. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. I hope you get to see, you know, I think, you know, I've seen someone else, I forgot who it was, made a deck with Swampert that just felt a little clunky, and this just feels a little bit more smooth. Of course, getting a stage 2 out, that's hit or miss, but hopefully we won't miss. Let's get to our first game. Alright, this is a pretty good start here. I've got Cynthia, I've got Type Null, I've got PokéNav. Maybe I can pull a Pokemon into my hand, or an energy. I could put a double colorless on him. This is what I was saying before, and then when I evolve him into Giratina, I can just pull this guy back. Oh, this is very good. Alright. So let's get some Mudkips in here. Almost tempted to just use this Ultra Ball to dump these two, but let's just see. Actually, yeah, because I'm going to play Cynthia anyway, so there's really no reason. Unless I just Cynthia these all back in my hand. Because I'd like to save these to evolve the Mudkip. But you know what, let's get a second Mudkip. We'll take a bird in the hand approach. So after saying what a great card PokéNav is, I quickly just discard it. So this is pretty good here. Mudkip, Cynthia, another Mudkip. Oh yes, and we've got, alright, so I don't even need this Mudkip. I'm going to hold on to it for now. There's really nothing to play, nothing to gain here by playing anything. Please don't judge me. Don't judge me. Because my thinking is evolve into Swampert, get rid of this Mudkip to draw 3 cards, Silvally here, maybe get an energy from PokéNav, and start to do something. A Guzma would be great, so if I can get the Guzma from the Swampert, that would be awesome. And basically get rid of, just I would take down the routes before they turn into Gardevoirs, because that's going to be a tough one to take out. That's my opponent, unless she fills up her bench with Pokemon and I use this GX attack. Alright. So, 1. Let's evolve. The goal is to get an energy here, and I can see, well, let's do it this way. So I'm going to do it reverse. I'm going to chuck Mudkip, get 3 cards, and then I can use PokéNav to arrange my next hand. Okay, that's good. I'm ready to fight here. Now let's see if I get a Pokemon in my hand. Good, Marshtomp, perfect. I don't really need to arrange the cards because I'm going to play Cynthia here. Wish I had a judge in this deck with looking at that and Sylveon. Obviously that would be beneficial. Let's get rid of this choice band. I didn't get the Guzma. I have a couple in this deck. I think I have 3 in this deck actually. So far looking good. I don't have any energy in my discard, which would be nice. And it doesn't look like I'm going to get any. So let's retreat. And let's start fighting. Put some pressure on this guy. No need to evolve this guy yet. This Type Null. Yep, no valid cards. So now I've got the Guzma. So if this doesn't evolve right away, although now I can knock out the Sylveon in theory. Oh! Yeah, so this is going to get interesting real quick, isn't it? What do we do here? Wow, I wonder if she's going to use GX. Either that or take a bite out of Silvally so Gardevoir can do some damage here. And just to get the knockout. Liquor Whistle, interesting. Yeah, alright, so thank goodness I was worried she might put the Swampert back in my hand. So what do I want to do here? I want to knock out Sylveon. Let's just go straight up. And let's see. I almost want to thin out my deck with this Psychic Memory. Let's put it on Silvally. I don't think I have any choice bands in this deck. I'm not going to play Swampert yet. I want to get an energy in here so that I can start powering up my next Pokemon. So now we'll use Swampert here. So here you go. Now we're starting to use this ability, get some benefit out of it. Gonna draw a big hand. Yes, another Swampert. Good. I don't know if I need another energy in there. I almost tempted to get rid of the rare candy, but this GX worries me. Although I have a feeling Twilight might be. I don't know. This guy's gonna get knocked out next turn, so I'm gonna have plenty of energy there. Let's get rid of Tate. Chuck one of those. 3 cards. Yep. All right. I really don't see anything else I can gain from. I'm going to hold on these Acro Bikes till next turn. Let's see what we get here. And I'm going to start building up a Swampert. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I have 2 of them, so... and I can easily should be able to get an energy in my hand to power up the Silvally. Even if I get judged, I have 2 Swamperts here. I can draw 6 cards, so by chucking 2. So I can even just chuck these Acro Bikes if I don't want to thin out my deck. I'm already at 19 cards, which is a little low. That's interesting. I did not expect that. Is she going to Guzma one of my Swamperts, or maybe the Silvally on the bench? Yeah, let's see. How much energy is on this? 30 times the amount, so 30, 60, 90. So that's 4, 5, 6, 180. So, yeah. Does she have a choice band? Are we going to see Lele here? What are we going to see? Orangaroo, okay. So, Orangaroo. That's fine, because I could still attach an energy. See, now here's where I wish I had an Acerola in this deck. And maybe instead of these Acro Bikes, that's what this deck should be. So, just some thought here. Let's just make sure I have energy in here. I don't, so let's get one in there. So we can start powering up our pokes. And I have a Guzma here, but I'm inclined to hold on to it. I mean, I could just knock out this Ralts before anything gets bad, or even this Orangaroo. Wow, I should knock out the Orangaroos. 120 there, yeah. And he doesn't have any resistance. It's a risky move, but... because then... yeah, alright, let's go for it. Let's knock out the Orangaroo. So, we're going to go after our opponent's helpers here. And we're going to power up the Swampert. That should help us knock out the Gardevoir. So, picking the right attack. I did. So, let's make it harder for my opponent to do what she wants to do. Draw cards. And evolve that. You know, because if I could have stopped this Ralts from evolving sooner, then I'm in a better state. But let's see. She might have a Cynthia in her hand or something like that. So, alright. Oh, powering up. That's a good sign. I'd rather face Sylveon than Gardevoir. Ooh, that's a bad sign. Oh, this is going to be a good one for sure. I'm up 3, but I'm in trouble here. So I think the next person I take out is maybe the Kirlia this time. And I could take out the Kirlia with the Swampert. I want to see what I have with this Ultra Ball. Let's see what Pokemon we have. I've got almost more cards in my hand than I do there. So I don't think I'm going to need... Let's get rid of both Copycats. I want to see what I have in here. I have another Type Null and a Silvally. So let's just get one ready. And I think, yeah, I think I'm going to go after Curlia. I do not want a second Gardevoir up and running. How many Guzma have I used? I should have checked to see how many Guzma I have in there. I think there was 3 total in the deck, so I should have seen if it's there or not. But, I mean, if I Guzma this Curlia, then I just have 1 GX to knock out. And I have to do it with this Swampert. And I have enough ability to attack, so that's what I'm going to do. So, little risky here. Taking a risk here. And I'm not going to do anything. What is, do I want to get rid of that escape board? Yeah, you know, I tend to, you know what? Let me hold it. No. Has she shown a choice band yet? Yes, she has. So maybe I should hold that for a choice band. And I don't really see anything that needs to be done here. I don't want to draw too many cards. There we go. 140. It's a good amount of damage. I mean, if I attacked with Silvally and put another one, 160, yeah, maybe I'd have enough to kill this Sylveon in one shot or whatever. But now I'm just one GX away. My opponent, she's using GXs to attack. The downside is I don't have a Guzma to target who I want. The good side is this Sylveon can't knock out the Swampert. Okay, but that's what I expected would happen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start powering up this type Null. And hope I get that other Sylveon in my hand, which I should because I'm able to draw 6 cards. So I'm able, on my next turn I can draw half my deck, a little bit more because I can use these Acro Bikes. And I'm not scared about decking out too much. I just do need that other Guzma, so I'm going to try to get everything in my hand in the next 2 turns. And yeah, I want to knock this Gardevoir out. Actually, I don't want this in my hand just yet. Because I don't want to evolve this because my opponent can prize it. So what I'm going to do is this. We'll do that. Yep, let's get a double because that's the harder one to get. And 2 shots, I will knock out the Gardevoir. So the only thing I need now is to make sure I have both the Sylveon in my hand and... I didn't mean to do that. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do the other power draw. Okay, so if my opponent retreats here, oh boy. But she can't retreat to the Sylveon because I can GX attack the Sylveon. All right. But yeah, but she can do that. Yeah. So I need to get the Guzma in my hand. If the Guzma's prized, I just lost. So there we go. There's one path to victory. One narrow path to victory, I think. And I may have blown it by not paying attention. Yeah, I can't talk and play at the same time. There's the Guzma. There we go. So we are going to win. Sayonara, Guardi. And, you know, let's just tack on an extra energy because we can. There we go. Hydro Pump. There we go. All right. Wow. That was a lot closer than my opponent. I have to give it to her. My opponent, I have to give it to her in that game. She, man, that was close. It was 6-3, and I felt like, you know, then she just ransacked me and almost pulled the game out. That was just a really incredible match by her. You know, I'm lucky to have gotten that Guzma. Oh, I have 4 in this deck. Okay, so there you go. So maybe, you know, maybe chucking these for some Acerolas may not be a bad idea, although these were helpful later. I think the PokéNav did help us a little bit. Maybe we don't need these 2, but again, this is all stylistic choices. I think you get a good idea. You get 2 Swamperts. You get 1 Swampert set up, and it helps you get the second one. And basically, so all you need is something to deflect attention from the Swampert, and I think the Silvally does a good job of that. Yes, they're a little glass-jawed. Yes, they get knocked out too often. Yes, they're weak against fighting, although fighting, I think, is starting to see a reduction in the meta. But for the most part, you know, I think that this deck works pretty well, and I think the synergy between the turbo drive, putting energy on the Swampert, so the hydro pump is a stronger attack, and 140 is a good amount of damage. You know, you could just make this a straight 100 with double colorless and a water, but you can see that it gets a good amount of damage, and they're a little hard to knock out at 160. So you know, that draw is just really potent, and so I think this is something, if you played around with, you could make a really strong deck out of. I think it's pretty strong to begin with, but I think with some tweaking, if you figure out what you're losing to in the meta and you tweak this deck towards that, it'd be a stronger deck. Maybe Tate Liza is not the best choice, or Copycat. You know, maybe some TV reporters or something of that vein. Mars or whatever might be a better choice for this deck, but you know, Kukui, something like that. But you can see, I think you got a good idea of how this deck works when it's rolling and how strong it can be. So I hope you check it out, and thanks for watching. Until next time.